Jungle has been put in a weird state after the 13.20 patch, with huge jungle nerfs and a slower snowballing potential. Many of the high elo jungle players and streamers complain every day that the jungle is ruined and how it's now a useless role. But are they raging for views and attention, or are they correct? The truth is that the jungle has not really changed, because the number one principle is still there: punish mistakes by the enemy laners and jungler. However, since players in higher elo tends to do very few mistakes, there is not going to be a lot for junglers to punish, and as such they will fall behind the solo laners and even AD carries on this patch, and jungle will feel horrible to play. So in a sense they are correct, but not for everyone. There is a reason why Rammus, Ivern and Fiddlesticks are dominating Emerald Plus right now, and it's because they don't really need to farm to stay ahead, since they have really easy ganks, or they just play for their team. But what does that mean for players in low and mid elo? There is still a lot of mistakes here to punish from both laners and junglers, but if you don't know what to look for, you will fall behind as well. However, let's say you do look for enemy mistakes and you are ready to punish them, then the jungle role is just as overpowered as before. Let's take a look at some mistakes laners and junglers usually make and how to punish them. We start off with laners, whose number one mistake in every elo is being greedy. Laners hate losing a minion wave or recalling when the wave is in a bad state, because they lose golden XP. So what is a bad state for laners? When the wave is pushing away from them and frozen near the enemy tower, because they have to walk up a long way to farm and that leaves them open for ganks. Or when a double stacked wave is under their tower and they are close to half HP, because getting killed here means they lose 2 waves on the tower, and when they come back to lane, the wave is pushing away from them again. And as you are pathing towards a lane, look at the minions and see if it's pushing or not. If the lane is gankable in say 30 seconds, then it's a play you can go for, and if not, you just keep on farming. So those two are easily recognizable mistakes to look for when playing as a jungler, and especially if you can easily perform a tower dive with champions like Elise or Maokai, who can drop tower aggro, or just have an easy time ganking lanes like Rammus or Zac. Another mistake that laners usually do is horrible ward placements, and especially mid laners. Whenever a ward is placed in this bush, it leaves a big fog of war area that you can walk around and surprise them with a gank. They will play more aggressive because they feel safe with that ward, but little do they know that you can walk around it pretty easily. The game has not really changed for laners, and they are still just as punishable as before. But if we now take a look at the mistakes that the enemy jungler often makes, the number one mistake is simply not being efficient. This patch really punishes junglers who are not as efficient as possible. And it's not about ganking lanes, it's about farming your jungle camps. Since you don't get much gold or XP anymore from ganking lanes and pushing out waves, your jungle camp's value is increased. And if you're not farming them well, you will fall behind. Rammus is the only jungler on this patch that circumvents this, only because he farms camps super slow anyways. So his only option is to spam ganks and hope that his team will carry him, because if he only farms, he falls behind due to low clear speed. And if he ganks between camps, he falls behind to junglers that just full clears on repeat. So he has no option but to spam ganks and hope for the best. And currently, that's working out for him, but future nerfs might change that. So if we take a look at what being efficient means for junglers, make sure to prioritize your camps, and especially those camps that have leveled up, because they give more XP. So let's say you are in this scenario, where the game has started and both the junglers are starting on the same side. If we pretend that you are the red side jungler and you do a full clear, so you're clearing blue, Gromp, Wolves, Raptors, red, and the Krugs, and the enemy jungler does the same. Let's say that you recall here because you don't see a gank possible top lane, and playing for early Skull Crab is pointless because the first Skull Crab gives basically no golden experience and is a waste of time. You recall and you spend close to 800 gold that you get after the first clear, right? So you recall and you start pathing towards the first camp that respawns for you. That's Gromp. If you see that the enemy jungler stays for crab, stays for a gank, and even maybe double ganks, you now have a huge tempo advantage, because you have recalled, you have spent your gold, and they are still on the map. If they are a player that doesn't really understand tempo, they might try to go for double crab. And if you meet them here, not only are they behind in tempo, they are also behind in items, because you have recalled. So if you fight here, you win. Let's say you only chunk them, but you get the crab, and they recall. You know that this camp is up, this camp is up, and you have a timer to invade. So a mistake that early junglers make is overstaying and simply not recalling when there's nothing to do and spending their gold. So with tempo in mind, that also means that we only gank if the kill is either guaranteed or if we have a small downtime to the next jungle camp. If we are playing champions that need to get ahead early, like Lee Sin or Xin Zhao, then it's okay to try and force a kill, because you will fall behind later anyways. So you might as well try to get a lead with your strong early game. But if you are, say, Kha'Zix or Kayn that scales better, it's more important to collect your camps or invade if possible, because that gold and XP is guaranteed. The next jungle mistake is spending too much time at Dragon in the early game. Dragon takes over 30 seconds to kill as a team, and even longer solo. If I know that the enemy jungler is on Dragon, there is a huge opportunity to invade the other side of the map and take every camp. The only 3 dragons that are worth the tempo loss for junglers in the early game are Ocean Dragon, because sustain is good for everyone, Hextech Dragon, because you get a lot of gold value from it, and Cloud Dragon, because the movement speed is nice to have when moving around the map. Infernal, Chemtech and Mountain are a waste of time early game, and if you see the enemy jungler spending their tempo for them, that just means they are bound to lose their entire topside jungle. The third mistake that junglers often make is wandering around the map longer than needed and not recalling and spending gold. If you have cleared every camp and there is not a good gank where you ended your clear, recall, spend your gold, get stronger. There is no need to sit around in a bush and hope for something to happen, because that's not efficient. Ignore laners who keeps spam pinging for help, and especially if they lack good tools to secure a kill. If a Kayle is spam pinging for help versus Darius, I am not getting anywhere near that, because that's a waste of time. We are not going to kill him. In fact, he may double kill us. However, if a Renekton is crashing 2 waves and Riven has half HP and he pings for help, then it's a free dive, because Renekton gets ahead, Riven loses a lot, and your camps are down anyways. But if there's not anything good to gank after clearing, recall and spend your gold. The last tip to cover here is bad pathing. Let's say in a scenario again where you are starting your jungle clear and the other jungler is matching you. So you clear all the way up to red and they clear all the way up to Gromp. So they've taken one more camp than you. You wanted to look for a gank, but nothing happened, you got low and you had to recall. You recall. If you go to Krugs, which is the camp that you didn't do, that's a big mistake, because this is a level 1 camp. A level 2 camp is your Gromp. That camp gives you more XP. You need to path towards that, and not to Krugs that you didn't clear before, because it's not even worth it. You're better off clearing this camp in another full rotation later. So let's say you didn't clear the Krugs. When recalling after the failed gank, you would go to Gromp, Wolves, Raptors, and then Krugs, because that's more efficient. If you go to Krugs immediately after the failed gank and a recall, not only do you lose time, but your Raptors are not even up. So you would clear Krugs, walk past Raptors are not even up yet, the Wolves wouldn't even be up yet, the Gromp would be, and then you would have this scenario where you walk topside to bot side to top side, and that's just a huge waste of time. So always go to the camp that gives you the most XP. This has been a quick jungle tips video that hopefully makes it easier to play jungle on this current patch. I hope these tips help you and you find them useful. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.